All right, Buffs Nation, what is going on? We're 3-0. Hope you guys are having an awesome Monday. I know I am. Great Monday. We got a big game coming up, and of course, everybody's talking about Colorado. This is wonderful stuff, guys. I don't want you to lose sight of just how cool this is. We got to appreciate every day we're seeing this coverage, where we see this team being put on another, oh Lord, another 10 a.m. kickoff, against USC. We're either waking up at 5 a.m. or we're going to bed at 3 a.m. or 3 a.m. on Sunday. That's just how it is right now. But I appreciate everybody coming in here. I have a very special guest. Really excited to collaborate with this YouTuber. So y'all be sure to hit that like in the comments. I am bringing on SportsChat503, who is a longtime Oregon Ducks fan and YouTuber. He's covered the Ducks for a long time. Had the pleasure of collaborating with him on a show with the Fan Attic Network, I believe it's called, last night. So y'all can check that out. Links on my Twitter. But without further ado, going to bring on Ryan Winter. How's it going, Ryan?
Fantastic. David, how you doing?
Man, I am thrilled. I am thrilled to be talking this matchup with you. And I just want to open up by saying I think that this is, removing 2016 or so, maybe a couple other matchups. This is the first relevant matchup that my Buffs have had against your Oregon Ducks in quite a while. So it feels great, not going into this matchup feeling like we're going to lose by 65 points. So, it's been a lot of fun, but really happy to have you on so we can talk about this matchup as we get into conference play. But before we get started, for my viewers who have not seen your stuff before or know who you are, I would love you to take some time to just explain who you are, what inspired you to do this channel.
Thank you so much, David. Yeah. Oh man, sorry about to cut you off there. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. My channel's called SportsChat503. I'm just a guy. I'm a sports fan. My whole family went to Oregon. My son will be there next year. My grandparents, my parents. It's a whole lineage thing. So I didn't choose the team, when they started to get good or whatever. But yeah, I love this. Love the YouTube. What we've got going on here is great. Now the opportunity to come onto your channel is awesome. I love the cross collaboration. Coach we were on with the other night. I had a chance to go down to Atlanta and watch the game with him last year. So yeah, shouts out to Coach for bringing us together last night. We'd kind of talked about doing something about this maybe early in the off season or whatnot. And I think it's a great opportunity. Like you said, everybody's eyes are on this game. It's going to be a huge game. The Ducks are ready for it. The Buffs are ready for it. It's too bad Travis Hunter's out. That's a kind of a dark cloud over this game. But conference play is what everybody's been waiting for. It's been kind of a rough off season, a little, or non-conference season a little bit for quality matchups. And I think you guys have done a great job with picking up the pieces and being the number one story of all of college football for those first three games. And so now I love the fact that whole media machine and everything else that's moving that way is all coming into Autzen Stadium this Saturday.
Yeah, most definitely. It's going to be a show, even with Travis out. I think one thing I'm really looking forward to as we're getting into conference play now is Shedeur Sanders against Bo Nix and a bunch of these other Pac-12 quarterbacks. I can't wait to watch this showdown. But before we get into talking about this week's matchup, I would love to hear from you, Ryan. What is the temperature check right now in Oregon? What were the expectations for the team coming into the year? And I know that y'all had a tough game against Texas Tech, and then some opponents that you guys handled pretty well last week and week one. But how do you feel like you guys are performing right now with those expectations?
Yeah, I think the Ducks are pretty much on the path people thought they'd be at. They thought that first there was kind of split. A lot of the Duck fans thought that Texas Tech game was going to be one of the most important games of the year. Other fans just thought it was a good non-conference game, not a great. And I always like to think of it in the red light, yellow light, green light, your first three games. You want to have the easy game. You want to have the middle game, call it Three Little Bears syndrome or whatever. And you want to have a tough game, and you want to have a game that's a non-conference game that's out of your league, that's in a different conference that you can test up and helps your conference to beat them as well. So The Texas Tech game was pretty much what we thought it was going to be, a rough atmosphere, hot, really electric, great crowd down there. They were pumped up. A little bit of a shine taken off the game because of the week before it with the loss to Wyoming. And then, the temperature, like you're saying, the overall aspects of this team, at the beginning of the year, there's a lot of Duck fans who want every year to be perfection. And they think that it's national championship or bust. I'm not one of those. I tend to think it's, try to get yourself in the Pac-12 championship. I'm a golfer. I want a par putt. I want a birdie putt. I want to give myself a chance at it. And so, you put yourself in that Pac-12 championship game. Well, then you've given yourself an opportunity to really play for the big dog, right? and the Ducks have found themselves there, fairly often, it feels like. And so expectations are high. This year, they returned a lot of guys, but they also had to replace a lot of guys. So, I think a 10-win season is probably what they expected. And, if you look at the schedule for Oregon, they have those top 4 games later on in their schedule, Washington, Utah, USC, and the Beavs. The Beavs are going to be a problem for a lot of people this year. And they're always a problem for us anyway, because they're our in-state rival. But those are the top 4 in my mind. And I didn't put Texas Tech in that top 4. So the fact that they went down to Texas Tech, they struggled a little bit, but they found the win. I think that says something about this team, just like we saw last week with your Buffs, where you get the win and, didn't look pretty, but you showed resiliency and you got it done. So I think the idea is this game should be about a win that is going to be, the spread has been so weird on this game. I heard today it was like 20 or something. I don't get that. I think they're trying to get people to bet for Colorado. I think Vegas is putting out a big carrot for this game because they know they're going to have a lot of casual fans for this game, and people are going to want to bet that Colorado money, and they can't believe that Colorado could be a 20-point underdog. And to be real, I tend to think that Oregon could be the best team in this conference if they play right. I've been really surprised that Washington came out of the gate as hot as they did, but I've thought that they're one of the better teams. We know who USC is, and I tend to think Oregon's on that level. And obviously, as a fan, I'm looking through green and yellow glasses. But big picture, didn't really see this coming from the Buffs. I wasn't one who was saying this was a travesty. He shouldn't have done this. I actually grew up loving Neon Deion was what it was in my day.
Yeah.
Prime time, whatever. And I'm a baseball guy as well, so I love the fact that he played baseball. Him and Bo. Got a lot of respect for Deion, and how he's done it has been great. And I coached my kid, so I know I've been a dad coach for 15 years or whatever. I did that. So there's a lot of cool things I think with Deion, and I think there's a lot of haters, and I think that there's a lot of people who want to look down on that, and they don't think it's somehow it's not authentic or true. He's done what he's done the whole time. That's been his shtick the whole time.
Totally.
And he sticks to the game. He's true to the game. So I think it's just going to be great. My seats at Autzen are right behind the visitor bench. I literally can listen to the offensive line group right there. And I can't wait. I think it's going to be an absolute circus because of all the media and everything else. But I think Autzen Stadium's ready for it. I think it's going to be a prime time affair that I think the whole country is going to watch.
Oh, yeah. If we're seeing the highest rated game from this past week be the 10 p.m. kickoff, Colorado and Colorado State. I think that this is definitely going to be the most watched game this weekend. Really quick, guys, I am starring a few of your questions. We'll try and get to some of those here at the end. So just want you guys to know I'm taking a look at that. But going back to Coach Prime and kind of how he's done things. Yeah, I think the style in which he's rebuilt this roster, how fast he's done it. Of course, everything's prime time when you bring Deion Sanders into doing something. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of attention on it. There are going to be people who love it. There are going to be people that, want to see it fail. But, as a Buffs fan, man, it is just so, it's so exhilarating. It's been so fun to watch. And, I kind of feel like in some sense with the rise of Oregon, that's happened, over the last however many years with that new money coming in, with all the flashy uniforms, there are people who didn't like that kind of style now.
They still don't.
Back then, right?
They still don't. We get hated on all the time for it. Let them hate.
Yeah. So, Yeah, I can kind of feel some connection with the Oregon fan base and just of
Yeah.
like doing something new, trying things against the grain, and people just want to see it fail. But man, the season for us, it couldn't have started any better. And yeah, aside from of course Travis taking that really dirty hit from that CSU player, lacerated liver. If you didn't see that, my goodness.
Oh, that was what
Um,
the diagnosis was?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we had a guy when I was in high school, guy who became actually my college roommate. He busted his spleen, and it was again kind of in the same area. It was very similar hit. It happened in practice actually, which is even
Oh my
crazier.
god.
It was a yeah. I don't know what this freaking guy was doing, but the guy that hit him actually went to the NFL. He was the only guy drafted out of my high school to the NFL ever. This guy's a stud. But it was just the way he hit him at the angle he hit him, and yeah, busted his spleen. He keeled over in the same manner, and I was like, oh, that's something internal. And then when he said out a couple weeks, that's what I thought it was. But lacerated liver. Ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
football is a dangerous game. It's a full contact sport. Anybody who's put on the pads at any level knows that. But when you start going up and up and up and up to just the elite level, I mean, it is absolutely insane what these guys go through. And to have parts of your body exposed where other parts are covered, and you don't have any protection. I love that rib cage that the quarterbacks were wearing for a while. It was bulky. But I really liked, just getting as much coverage as possible on those sensitive organs. It's too bad. I really wanted to see, Travis Hunter out here. Oregon, we have a lot of respect for top flight athletes. Nike here, all the other hype that we have. Our track team is historically phenomenal. We just held the Prefontaine Classic, Diamond Series Championship, and all sorts of. It's pretty cool out here. So we respect. Real recognize real. We respect game. And, like you're talking about, the come up. Oregon is something that has historically was never done much of anything historically. It was really the 1990s when it first started to really rise and we started to kind of roll. Versus you guys have a lot of tradition. You guys have a lot of history. And so, when you talk about Prime coming in and starting a new thing, well, you had to kind of rip the Band-Aid off from last year.
Yeah.
Last year was so bad. And, like I said, I went out there for the Oregon game and saw the whole Boulder thing and had a great time drinking Coors and everything. And, I was really impressed with the fan base. I thought the fan base was electric. They were live. They packed that place. They were happy. And that was one of the worst college football teams I'd ever seen. So the fact that you still have that, you go to the Bay Area, there's nobody there. You go to some of these schools, there's nobody there. It's not like that at Autzen. It's not like that at Reser Stadium, Oregon State. We both fill it up as much as we can. It's not like that in Washington. It's not like that at Washington State. Those people. So there's a whole bunch of people that are really passionate about their fan bases out here. And Colorado is one of them. And I thought that Colorado did have a tough time in the Pac-12. Their time in the Pac-12 was not great. But I remember them being back in the day. I'm a Steelers fan, so shouts out to Cordell Stewart. And, there was some greatness at Colorado. And I think that there's some expectations that you should be that good, similar to Nebraska, where it's like, hey, why aren't we national champions anymore? We used to be. Well, things change. And I think that that's one of the reasons why people have not liked Oregon and they not want to support Oregon, because we're like the new kid on the block. And all of a sudden, what are these guys doing here? Get the hell out of here, And now that we're in a new conference going to the Big Ten, hopefully we'll get more respect on that national level. And for you guys going to the Big 12, same sort of a thing. And we can get rid of this whole East Coast, West Coast bias thing that we were always been plagued with out here in the Pac-12. Too bad that this year is the best year of the Pac-12 we've seen, but it is one of those things we've had to deal with year after year after year. Even in the years where we faced each other as really good teams back in the day, Fiesta Bowl, stuff like that, we still had that bias. So I think this is a game where there is no bias. The whole country is going to be watching. Everybody's going to be excited about this one. I mean, the South is going to be watching this game, for Christ's sake. So I'm really excited about this game. And I think a lot of it has to do with Deion, obviously, but I think it also has to do with the guys he brought in. When he came into that first meeting, he said, hey, I'm bringing Louis. And you could see the guy's reaction on their face, like, uh-oh, I don't know if I'm that guy, right? And, you're not that guy, pal. Remember that video? He's like, you're not that guy. Deion was basically saying that to that team right out of the gate. And the fact that he came in there, flipped it that fast, brought all those guys in there. I mean, think about how many guys left after the spring game, right? There was a mass exodus. So
we only have 10 scholarship players from last year.
They had 10 guys returning off of an entire team. That's unheard of. So I think that is actually there's more to say there. And I do know that just like the quarterback gets more of the hype, the head coach get more of the hype. I think his offensive defensive coordinator has done a great job too. I think the guys he's brought in has done a great job. I think across the board, they should be commended. But I do think they're going to get tested in the Pac-12. I think the Pac-12 this year is absolutely loaded, and I don't think there's any game really on your roster or on your schedule that you feel like is a complete blowout. There's games you think you should win, obviously, but ASU maybe. ASU did not look good last week. But other than that, Stanford. Stanford historically always puts guys in the NFL. They might be the worst team in the conference this year. They're going to put probably 3 or 4 guys off that team in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's crazy just because they're Stanford. So, maybe Arizona, but you guys are going to have a rough end of the year. Washington State, second to last week. Crazy. Martin Stadium, crazy. And then Utah to end the year, Rice Eccles.
Yeah.
Getting the Beavs at home is probably going to help, but they're still going to be a major problem.
They're going to be
UCLA. They're a question mark. You don't know how good they're going to be. So you got to get your dubs while you can in this league, and you already got 3 of them. So you just need 3 more to be bowl eligible. And how crazy would that be on year 1 just to be bowl eligible alone, and then maybe get into that 7th win, maybe get, like you were saying last night, get into that 8th win territory. And now we're really talking. Now we're moving up the bowl chain, and now we're really talking. And if we think we're going to get a team in the CFP, everybody moves up a bowl.
Oh yeah. No, you said it really well. I mean, with this, what I'm excited about with this conference is that going into the conference play now, we're going to be able to see, there's not going to be any argument when the season's over about exactly like where should we be standing within the conference, or where should we be standing kind of within the Big 12. Because I think, Utah, it's going to be a great test for us to see where we're at by then. But with what we're going into against Oregon, I'm very excited for, because it's a significant bump in talent in our opposition. And I'm very excited to see if this team, how they rise to the occasion. Obviously like we talked about yesterday, that I think a lot of Oregon's strengths right now, offensively match up with some areas of weakness right now that the Buffs have. But at the same time, I think we have a fantastic offense, and we have, if he's not the best quarterback in college football, he's definitely up there right now with Shedeur Sanders. And I think as long as we got 2 on the field, he's been able to rise to the occasion. I think this team plays better when they're not favored to blow teams out like what happened this past weekend. But what are your keys to the game in terms of, what must Oregon do to be successful this weekend?
Well, I think you got to put pressure on the quarterback. We talked about this last night. It's a double-edged sword. When you have a guy who's as athletic as Shedeur is and as accurate as he is on the run, extending the play, moving out of the pocket, they don't really have a running game. So it's not like you can say, well, I'm just going to shut down the run game. They're going to shut down the run game by the fact they're not going to really call any run plays. But they run out the backfield. And so they have that beautiful little play where, you can have a variety of different options. If they don't work, well, dump it out here. And by that point, really nobody's guarding your running back very well. And it's an automatic 5 to 8, 10 yards. Those are the kind of plays that'll kill you. And I think Oregon has really done a pretty poor job with penalties. And I think so if they need to clean up the penalties in the first place, because you can't give a team like Colorado chances. That might sound a little elitist, but if you have 2 teams and one team is just a little bit better on paper, penalties are going to even that thing out right away. Mm-hmm. So you got to play a clean game. But I think defensively for Oregon, they really got to put pressure on Shedeur Sanders and then cover the back. You have to be able to cover the back end. And they've done a better job there. They've gotten some transfers in who've helped with that. But that's where they're going to be tested. Because like we were talking about last night, the better playground team is Colorado. And you don't want to let this thing break down and go playground. The average play in college football lasts 5 seconds. 10 seconds if it stretches all the way out. That's not that long per play. So the idea that if you could take a play and extend it to the 4 to 6 second count, you're actually in your favor with Sanders. That's in the window that he's actually going to operate best in. The play's already broken down. The original design's broken down. Now it's a read and react. Now you've got to see who guys are open, who's going to come back to the ball, who's going to get open, who's already in space. And now you're making the defense really question. Now you're making them look over their shoulder. They don't have time to do this. This is a 10-second play at the very most. And the ball's up and the ball's out. Most all college plays. So when you get those plays where it extends out, you're in trouble. And the Ducks have been historically burned there. Guys across the middle on a 3rd and 10, wide open, first down. Cut over the middle, over the top in the corner, for a big gainer on the sideline. Rarely do they get burned with like the big gainer across the middle and they can't catch them because athletically they're pretty strong. Our game for Oregon took it to Trayshawn Holden, little swing pass onto the side, 10 yard, took it to the house, 60 yards. So, rarely is that going to happen, but you're going to get caught. And then offensively, Oregon needs to be able to run the ball.
Yes.
And I think if Oregon just maintains the run and owns the line of scrimmage and wears down the Colorado defense, I think where Colorado is strongest is in the back end with the athletes. Up front is where I feel like they might have a little bit more of weakness and possibly less depth. And I think that's where Oregon's really going to take it to them in the second half and start to grind them out a little bit. And Oregon needs to do that to go to the Big Ten anyway.
Yes.
That's how half the Big Ten plays. So what I fear is a shootout. What I fear is turnovers or penalties to extend drives or give opportunities to Colorado. Colorado getting touchdowns, Oregon getting field goals, weird things happening. And then I think anything happens, and I think Colorado would have a good chance to win it. If a regular game breaks out with Oregon playing on their scheduled terms and nothing crazy going down, I think Oregon gets the win.
Yeah. I think how I see this game playing out, if CU is going to win, it's going to have to – I think it will be a shootout won by the arm of Shedeur Sanders. I think, some people in the comments, they've brought up some pretty interesting points that I forgot to hit on. But we do have a handful of guys, coming back that I feel like we held out this past week. You might see our other big-time running back, Alt McCaskill, for the first time this year going up against Oregon. You might see our speedy linebackers, Brandon Gant, Demoy Kennedy's probably our fastest linebacker that we have, come back for this game. So it's going to be key for Colorado to show some improvement with stopping the run, just like we talked about yesterday. We're still struggling, sometimes with just gap discipline on defending some of these zone reads specifically. And what we saw this past weekend, there was kind of a late adjustment to covering these short crossing routes. I mean, Joel Klatt even hit on it today. So it's going to be important for us to make some of these adjustments within our coverages, to stop, because I think a lot of what you guys do well, there are things that we struggle with, defending. So, but I do think that one positive about this defense is I believe it's either 7 or 8 takeaways right now within the first 3 weeks. And it's definitely been a bend not break defense right now for the Buffs, but when they've had to make those crucial stops, they've generated a ton of red zone turnovers right now. They've made the crucial stops when they've had to, and if this can become a shootout, I do like CU's defense getting an interception. We'll see how that happens. But I think one thing that I'm just looking forward to is to see this quarterback duel between Bo Nix and Shedeur Sanders. And for those of my audience that haven't seen much of Bo Nix, how would you kind of describe him as a player? What are his strengths? What are areas that he needs to improve on going into this year?
Yeah, that's a good question. Bo's been in college for so long that he's really evolved as a player over time. I think that early on, sorry, I moved my mic here. I think overall, he's become a much better quarterback. I think early on, he was much more of a running back. Didn't mean he couldn't throw the ball. I mean, he came in as, I think, probably 1 or 2 most athletic quarterback in his class. Dual threat guy, right? So he wants to extend the play with his legs. He wants to go get you first downs when he can't throw the ball for the first down. And he's a tough guy to bring down. He's a good 6'2". He's strong as a bull. But right now, he's just in a really clear mind space. He's married. He's got his wife out here. He's in NIL money now. He's probably making more money now with NIL than he will on his rookie deal in the NFL. I mean, wow. I'm not joking, and I don't know what the numbers are. I'm just saying that's what a lot of these guys are probably in, right? Caleb Williams probably in the same boat. These guys are right now who are the number one guy at the number one school, or in the one of those schools that are top upper echelon. These guys make some good dough now. So and some of that stuff's not really regulated as much as the rookie deal is. The rookie deal is stamped. So I don't know what kind of quarterback Bo's going to be if he gets a look in the NFL, but he is a guy who, I don't really know the comp for him. He's very fast. The guy runs very fast. And when he needs to get the first down, he needs to get to the corner, he needs to get to the edge, he's fast. As fast as I think any quarterback that's been out. I mean, we had Marcus Mariota, so it's like it's hard to compare. Marcus was an absolute gazelle, and he could run with the best of them, man. And that offense allowed him to. Bo's different, but I think Bo has learned to work in the pocket more, and that's made him a much more dangerous quarterback. The big thing about Bo, I think, is that he's got such confidence because he's seen so many plays, seen so many snaps. If you look at how you grow as a quarterback, you have to have negatives and positives to be able to really have that full insight to be able to make the right play. And historically, Bo made the wrong play because he tried to make the home run play. In his mind, he saw it as the home run. We talk about this all the time with golf, risk reward. You didn't get in the fairway, so you don't have a clean shot. You're going to go for it. You're going to try to pipe it through the trees. You're going to try to hook it around something, or you're going to try to play the safe game. He's at the point now where he knows the percentages so well, and he knows his own game so well, that he's going to probably take the short stuff more often than try to take the home run, or he's going to put it in the stands, or he's going to, whatever he needs to do. But he's a guy who's a very dangerous runner. I don't think this offense wants him to run, though. Okay. So I think this is an offense that's predicated on using the running backs to run because the running backs are so good. Offensive line, I think, would rather block for running backs than quarterback. Also, Bo's had injury trouble. Last year, he went down with the ankle injury. It really hurt the Ducks at the end of the year. And he played through it, but it was really detrimental to the Ducks season. And I think that he's been hurt a lot. He got hurt at Auburn all the time. And because he threw his body all over the place at Auburn. He's done with that. But he's a tough guy. And I think that the wide receivers are really good at Oregon. And the tight ends have been really strong there. And then obviously the running game is a quarterback's best friend. So I think he's got it rolling right now. I would not be surprised at all if his name is in the conversation at the end, as with Shedeur Sanders in the Heisman discussion.
Man, I love that. And I think, like I said, this is going to be a great challenge for the defense to be facing an offense, led by Bo Nix, much more dynamic than the different offenses that we've seen so far. And it's going to be a challenge. That's interesting that you hit on the fact that he's not looking to run as much this year. So that's pretty cool hearing about his development a little bit compared to when he was just coming in. And I would imagine coming into a second year where I know Kenny Dillingham is gone, but still, the majority of the coaching staff is still there, having that continuity. He should be able to benefit from it greatly this year.
And I'll give you just an example, not to get too X's and O's with it, but historically, one of the best plays they'd run is the quarterback option. Yes. Tuck it down the line, let him gun the option. It's the classic play, right? Pitch it or tuck it. Read the end, read the linebacker coming off for safety coming to help, whatever. What I've seen on this offense is right now, they're just pitching it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the exact same. It's the exact same blocking scheme. Everything's happening the same way on the end. It's just that the quarterback's not leaving the pocket. They're just hike, sit back and watch. I mean, how easy is it for a quarterback to let that kind of play happen, So,
yeah.
And I think they want to get plays where underneath, we talked about the seconds. I think they want to get plays under 5 seconds. Hike the ball. 3, 2, 1. I mean, they don't really want to mess with it. And so these little crossing patterns to guys with speed, they're open. They get one step right there. They get in front, click, boom, run. 6-7 yards if it's a tackle. If it's not, it's to the house. And those are the kind of plays that it's hard to stop when that just keeps coming at you over and over and over and over and over. And
Yes.
unless you have the athletes to cover in space, you're in trouble. And I do think that Colorado has the athletes to cover in space. It's just whether or not they have enough of them and whether they can hang with them for that 4 quarters to add with it, try to stop that running game.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to kind of come up on that running game too, which is going to be difficult.
No doubt. Yeah. I think right now, again, I think we did a pretty good job against Nebraska outside of, allowing just a couple big runs. But again, we were able to load up the box without much hesitation because of the lack of passer Jeff Sims is. And, like we just discussed, Bo Nix provides much more threat passing than Jeff Sims does. But man, I think it's going to be an exciting game because both of these offenses, they move fast. They got fast players. I'm really excited to see some of our guys go against Nico Reed, this year. And just from spring, I wish we could have gotten the Travis Hunter against Nico Reed that we were seeing all throughout spring practice, but it is what it is. We'll settle for Xavier Weaver or Jimmy Horn or, some of the other weapons that we got. But I think overall, man, like I am expecting an entertaining game. I think this team, they always play their best when they're doubted the most. I think, this was one of the games that I had CU losing, looking at my season prediction about a month or so ago. But that's not to say I think that this is ridiculous. Anybody saying that it's going to be a larger blowout than with some of the teams CU's rolled out in the past. I do think when you got a guy like two behind there that can navigate the pocket, that can manipulate defenses with his eyes, there's a possibility for anything. And I just can't wait for the show.
I agree. And I truly believe, as a player who's played through and had success, as a coach who's coached for years and seen it from all different angles, different sports, there are certain things that happen to a team that galvanize a team. And there are certain, you can't create it in practice, and Lord knows we try, but there's certain times at certain places, and I can just mentally put myself all the way back in some of those places that happen on my team. I mean, even as little as a JV or a freshman team or something, that brings the team together, that we know we're on the same page, we have the same mindset, we're going in the same direction, and it's hard to stop a team after they have that. I swear that 98-yard drive is going to come down to one of those times during this year. Now, we're recency bias. We're talking about it this week. If Colorado goes out to Autzen and gets blown out, you're asking some questions about the USC game the next week. If they get blown out 2 weeks in a row, then we're not really thinking how magical that 98-yard drive is. But if they come out and they beat Oregon, and they come out and play well and maybe even beat USC, if they beat both of them, I'm telling you, you're writing a book about that. Right. And that is a moment in time where, I'm in the car driving up after our game, and my son, who's a senior in high school, we've gone through all of this our whole life. This is what we do. We watch games, we go to games, we watch other games, we talk about it. And I'm like, as soon as they punted, I was like, I would have gone for it. And he said, well, no, this is a great punt. It's down to the 2-yard line. I said, they're going to score right here. And he said, no, it's 2. They have a minute to go. And I said, trust me, buddy. I've been there. I've been on drives. I've looked up at the scoreboard, looked at that thing. It says under 1 minute left, and we're standing in our end zone. And I'm like, we got to go all the way down there? All right, let's do this thing. And we did it. And so I know it from my perspective that it can be done. I've seen it happen over and over and over in clutch situations. And that is a moment in time. And I do think that they have an opportunity to say, hey, Travis is out of the game. It's just us, and we got to get this done. They still got a great team. Dylan Edwards, really good running back. Yeah. They don't run the ball, so you don't know, but he's a good running back. And if you had an offensive line that wanted to run the ball and an offensive coach that wanted to run the ball, he could get you some yardage from between the tackles. But I'm telling you, that CU game, there was something that happened and momentum that shifted in that game that can carry over for an entire season. There's something to be said about that. Now, you have a tough draw in the fact that the first 2 games in your Pac-12 schedule are possibly against your hardest 2 teams at this point in time. Yes. I think Oregon's playing very well. I mean, outside of the Texas Tech game, they've been looking very well.
They've handled business.
Very good. And, so I tend to think it's a tough draw. It would be nice to play Arizona this week.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right?
Be nice to have a warm up.
Instead, you have to go to the teeth of Autzen Stadium in the Lions' Den, right? So, I think that if you come out with that win, you've just proven that you're one among the best in the conference and among the best in the country.
Yeah. And man, I just love it. I love these road games. It was a thrill. Obviously, I think Oregon has a better home field advantage than say the Horned Frogs do, but it was a thrill to watch this team play on the road, play resilient. If that's a theme right now, this team is resilient. They're not going to quit even if they're down in Oregon, that's for sure. And I think it's going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Ryan, I really appreciate your time coming on here, chatting with me.
Thank you.
And for all you Ducks fans, again, I appreciate coming and watching my interview with Ryan. It really means a lot. But to give my followers, again, just a little bit of info about you, where can they find you and what can they expect from you coming over and subscribing to your channel?
Oh, yeah, it's awesome, man. Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, so I do a video every single week about the Pac-12. So I just talk about last week's games and this week's games. But what I do is historically, one, I'm a season ticket holder. I've been a season ticket holder for over 15 years. Personally, my family's been season ticket holders since the 70s, multiple generation U of O. My whole family's all U of O grads, born into it, born on campus in Eugene. It was just, that's what my parents were at school when I was born. Deeply embedded in the thing. I'm on YouTube. Like I joked before, I don't know how to even run Spotify or any of that sort of stuff. I don't know how to put something online in a different position. I'm just on YouTube, but I try to do a live stream Tuesday nights, Pacific close time. So I'll be live tomorrow. If you want to jump in, love it. Tomorrow, live stream 5:30. I usually do about 2 hours. I do a video though every week about specifically on the Ducks, the whole Pac-12 and National College Football. So in that Pac-12 video and the National College Football video, it's basically top 25. I'm talking about your Buffs. So I definitely love the Pac-12. I'm pissed that it's breaking up. I'm not a supporter of it in any way, shape, or form. I think it's a travesty. I was never had anything negative to say really about USC or UCLA until that happened. And then now I don't like them. And then now we're joining them. So now it's getting weird. But I love this. I'm a teacher. I'm an educator. So I'm coming at it from a perspective. I know about kids. I know about student athletes. I've been a coach for years. I was a player, back in the day when I was in shape. And, now we're in a situation where, college football is really blown up. And over the last 10 years, like I've been doing this YouTube thing for now over probably 12, 15, 13 years. It's completely blown up. It is now one of the biggest things in the sports, one of the biggest draws in the whole media. We're running things on YouTube. Everybody's doing live streams, everything else. So I just love it. I just love being a part of the community and being a part of the thing. And I'm at games. And so if you go to the game, see me, I'm there. Section 34, man, row 6. Let's do it.
Man, I love that. Well, maybe eventually, whether it's a college football playoff down the line, or maybe we're able to schedule home and home now with all these non-conference opponents. Well, at least in our case, we'll be playing them in the Big 12.
Hey, that's fine. And we still got a basketball tournament to do. I go to that basketball tournament in Vegas every year. So shouts out. I'm a huge basketball fan. So I follow it all the way through. I coached basketball for years. I absolutely love basketball. And we're glad to not go to Colorado anymore for that goddamn bat. You guys ate us alive. That Evan Batty was up there for about 8 years, just putting buckets on it. I don't think the Ducks won more than about 2 games in the last, during the whole time, during the whole Pac-12. I don't think the Ducks won more than about 2 or 3 games up there in Boulder. So tough place to play, tough environment. And we will not miss that in the Pac-12, but now we got to go to freaking Maryland to play basketball.
Man, it's crazy. Are
you kidding me? I mean, anyway, whatever. Maybe we'll play in Madison Square Garden. Who knows?
Yeah. Ryan, real quick, before I close, I did want to get to a comment from one of your viewers that I highlighted that I want to reach out to. James Voss said this. I'll close with this.
Oh, Voss, what up?
He said, David, I know the first few games are all about getting to know new faces. Even for the regular programs, it can be an adjustment. How much of this transfer heavy CU team feels like your own? 100% of it, man. Exactly 100%. They all chose to come here. And what's cool with all the well-off media and the different YouTube and vloggers that are following around the team is that we've had a chance to really get to know, all these guys since January moving forward. So really getting to know these guys' personalities, seeing how they are in the day to day, and then seeing kind of how they're interacting. Going to certain restaurants here in Boulder or doing certain things on campus. I feel like the fan base has adopted them very quickly, and they definitely feel like our own players. And we're excited to see them take on your Ducks here in just a few days.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I just, we've been to so many big games at Autzen, and it's great that this is one of them. There was a time when, Colorado football was, like I said, some of the best in the country, and historically, power. And it's good to see it back on track where it should be. Going out there last year to Folsom, I was really, really blown away with how cool it was there. The infrastructure around that place, a stadium from the 20s that's been all built up around it. And, I was just really impressed with the fan base there. Had an absolute blast. So I'm really happy for the Buffs. Obviously this weekend I'm rooting for the Ducks, but the Buffs have done nothing but help the Pac-12 this year. They've done nothing but bring eyeballs to our sport and to what we want to do here. And the fact that they are putting it on a tee for the Ducks, the first game. I mean, you guys had 60 minutes come and do interview. I get it. ESPN and Fox go there, but 60 minutes? I mean, PBS NewsHour doesn't want any of that. I mean, so I was really impressed with how that's gone about it. And I mean, Deion's selling merch. He's got the sunglasses. I mean, hell, I'm trying to buy a pair of them sunglasses at this point. So, shouts out to you guys. It's been great. I still support you guys by drinking some Coors. So,
hey, I love to hear that. And, especially since we are going our separate ways after this year, all of, I don't know if you call them the Duck Flock, all of the Oregon Duck Flock. Y'all are welcome. We are welcome to always cheer on, the CU Buffs once we're in the Big 12. It's an open arm family here. We're just trying to have a lot of fun and enjoy good college football.
Hey man, I love it. And I love Ralphie. I got right up close and personal. I got right there at the end of the thing where Ralphie runs right in front into the cage thing or whatever, the little trailer. Dude, that was awesome. So a young Ralphie, not very big Ralphie yet. Young.
Yeah, she's still got about 400 pounds to go, but she's doing really well. Well,
we're not rushing it.
Thanks again for your time. I gotta be hopping over to another live stream that I'm starting here in about 10 minutes. So y'all be sure to check out Ryan. And hey, maybe if this game really builds up to what we're hoping, maybe we get on and talk about it. When it concludes, we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, a recap next week would be great. Let's do it.
I think it would be a lot of fun. Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you. Thanks for all the Buffs fans. Have a great one.
Hey, we'll see you.
All right.